Hello, it's Monday, May 23rd, 2016, and as of this recording, I'm still depressed, but I'm not dead. Hey everyone, welcome back and thanks for downloading my favorite podcast to talk about. I'm the voice resonating through your eardrums, Jamolki, and this is the 11th episode of the Depressed Not Dead podcast. So I know it's been a little while since I recorded a show, but I'm back now and I'm going to tell you all about it. But first, the boring housekeeping things. As always, you can get a hold of me by email at jamolki@gmail.com, on Twitter, where I'm at Jamolki, on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Jamolki, or at the website www.jamolki.info. I'd love to hear from all of you. Please drop me a line and let's chat. So that's the boring stuff. Now let's get going. It's been, 2 weeks, I think, since the last show was put out. My duet with Nora, which I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you didn't, let me know. If you did, please let me know. Like we mentioned on the show, it's something that we want to happen with more regularity and frequency. Is getting another voice out there, someone who's kind of on the same page as me, but not necessarily, but does have that viewpoint of, someone who is on the journey with someone with a significant mental illness. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. But that's so we didn't talk. I didn't come here to talk about what I've already talked about. The past 2 weeks, it's been a strange couple of weeks for me. I've sat down here about 4 different times to record a show, and I had 10 minutes of one show recorded and scrapped it. I have sat down with ideas. Hey, I want to do this. And just, sitting down, getting everything set up, and then I lost it. I didn't lose it. I didn't lose my mind. That's not the it I'm talking about. But I lost the energy. I lost just really the ability to record a show, to talk about myself, about anything. So, but here I am now, and let me tell you sit back. Let me tell you a story. Right after Nora and I recorded that last show, we put it in the can, as they say, and I whisked Nora off to the airport for her to go away for a short little business trip. The work that she does, there's a couple of offices on here in Minnesota, and then one way out west coast, one back on the east coast. So every 4, 5, 6 weeks or so, she has to head off for half a week, maybe a week at most. To kind of touch base there and do her job. So I took her to the airport and got her off the curb, gave her a kiss, a hug, told her I loved her, and drove away. And that's when the rough times start. It's difficult for me when Nora is not here. I realize maybe I depend on her more than I should, clearly more than she is. Should be obligated to have me lean on her. And that's part of the reason I'm on this journey, is to be able to do for myself the things that she does for me. Like give my day structure, give me, the kind of that connection with someone that I don't really get day to day otherwise. And for lots of different reasons, I don't have that. Obviously I've moved away from, my friends' family to be here, which is where I want to be. But I mentioned before, I haven't made any friends here in Minnesota. It's very difficult for me to do that. So I do depend on her quite a bit for that. But I think the biggest part when she's gone, because obviously it's 2016, we've got text messages and Facebook message and, video chat and emails and Twitter and, all those things. So being able to communicate is not something that's difficult to do when she's away. But I don't have that even simple daily structure. I think I've mentioned before that, we get up in the morning and, during the week, Nora needs to go to work. Half the time the kids are here, they need to get off to school, though they pretty well do their own thing. But, my day has a certain amount of structure. We get up, we take a shower, I get her coffee ready. I get, pack her lunch. We've been walking to the train station quite a bit lately. And, so that gives my morning a certain amount of dependability, things that, hey, I'm going to do this. They're really, low stress, low complication. They just, it's a routine. Everybody has routines. And then, that usually gets me going off to do things. I've got, appointments to go to, psychiatry appointments, therapy appointments, dental, doctor. I've mentioned before, I love to go, eat some bagels. So, that once I'm out of the house, I can stay out of the house for a while. And then, at the end of the day, she comes home. Sometimes she goes and does her thing. We usually always end up kind of, cuddling up in bed and watching some TV, kind of recap our days a little bit, and then, brush our teeth. We, get changed into pajamas and off we go into bed. So, there's the day starts, the day ends, and there's, it's bookended. It's nice. Nora goes away and that structure goes away. I don't have that reason to get out of bed at a certain time in the morning, which starts my day off lazy. We have dogs, so they need to be, fed and let out and things like that. So, but I've got more leeway with that. It's not hey, you got to get to work, let's get going. So I lose that. I generally, I don't get up on my own and shower. Who cares? I don't get out of the house doing that kind of physical activity first thing in the morning. When she's not here, I don't feel the need. I guess I don't feel the need to kind of even, get up and get moving. And, I guess I kind of thrive on that, getting her coffee ready. And I like doing that for her and, getting her meals ready and whatnot. I don't know. It sounds silly, I guess, but it does. It gives me that the word of the day, structure. And in the evening, I don't even, it's difficult for me to even, pick a bedtime to say, hey, okay, whatever. Hey, we got to get up at 7. So let's get to bed. I need to be to bed by 11, to try to get those 8 hours of sleep that we all need and crave. It's like even just that routine of brushing our teeth at night, doesn't happen all the time, which is terrible. And sweetheart, you're listening to this, I'm sorry. There's been times when she's away and I've 1 o'clock in the morning, I've gotten up and brushed my teeth because, oh crap, I guess I should brush my teeth. Other nights I just don't. It's unfair. I know that I lean on Norris like this to kind of move my life, my day along. But it's where I'm at right now, and I appreciate that she's put me in a place where I can at least do that. And so Nora leaves and my life just becomes a big smoldering crater of no structure. And all the things that go with that too, right? So self-care kind of goes down, which generally would bring, it brings your emotions, your feelings down, which leads to, less self-care and poor eating habits and, all those things. So it's tricky for me when she goes out of town. And, conversely, when I go out of town. Yeah, so we did the show. Nora left town. My days went to hell. But I kept going to bed at night. I kept getting up in the morning. And I, kept feeling bad, which then brings me to, my next point here in the story. And, I was feeling, I always feel down, right? I mean, this depression's really got a hold of me. So I always, if you look at, if we're going to grade things, right, 1 to 10, I'm probably always at like a 4 is, a baseline, sometimes a little lower, rarely any higher. So Nora leaves and I go to like a 2. And that's when some of the bad thoughts kind of come. For some of you, I'm sure isn't necessarily groundbreaking news. But it's when, so suicidal ideations kind of come along, and they're kind of always running around in my head, but just with that much lower feeling, they tend to pop up a little bit more. And it seems to be like, it's weird. It's not really comforting, but it is in a way that, it's a fight to try to think of other things, to do other things. And it's easy to think about those kind of suicidal ideas. And this, it's not the same as saying I am suicidal, that I have a plan, that hey, okay, it's this, Nora's not here, this all sucks, screw this, that's it. No, that's not the case. But those thoughts are really prevalent often during those times. And they kind of came rushing back those few days that she was gone. And I remember, I had read an article, I don't know, a month ago now, about the dangers of Imodium. It was an article about, I guess, and I don't know the chemical. It doesn't really matter. I don't want to get into this. I don't want this to be a show giving people ideas. But essentially, the interesting part is there's a chemical in Imodium that, taken in a significant quantity, will help folks with withdrawal symptoms from different narcotics and street drugs, which I had no idea. But the thing about this was that I guess there's been a rash of folks overdosing on that, and it's really dangerous for these people. Their heart would stop because of the amount of Imodium that they took. And, I read that article a month ago, and, somewhere in my head, a little checkbox went off, and that went into the, hey, here's an idea file. So, Nora was out of town. I had to go food shopping because the kids were coming from their dads. We needed to have some, breakfast and lunch things. So I found myself at the food store, and I wandered over and I went and checked out. I was pricing out Imodium versus store brand, seeing what at that time I had the chemical in my mind. So it was, store, if you're shopping for, valid reasons and you're looking at name brand, store brand, you want to see the active ingredients and make sure they're on par. So, that you're getting the right medication that you need, or I guess the amount of cheesy flavor for your mac and cheese, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so I found myself, in that aisle, just, checking that out, seeing, okay, hey, there's this much. I didn't have an idea at that point what a lethal overdose amount of that would be, but I was okay. So store brand, same amount, whatever, let's say $5 for a box of 24 of these tablets. Okay, that gives me this much. Okay, now I have this information, and I didn't buy anything. It wasn't my plan to to buy it all, go home, and whatever, put the dogs outside and go down to the basement. No, that wasn't the plan. But I was at a point where I was looking at that, and when I was in that moment, when I was doing that, it felt just so routine, right? Matter of fact, like, hey, let me just check this out, like, whatever. Hey, I need this information, so let me get it. I wasn't, more upset at that time. Within those few days when Nora was gone, obviously, those days versus 2 weeks before, I was more upset, I guess, or more down. But within that shorter time frame, those 30 minutes I was at the store, I wasn't more agitated. I didn't feel anything different than I did an hour before or an hour after I was at the store. And to be honest, it didn't even register with me as something that was significant. Yeah. So like I said, I was down. The next day was supposed to be, a DBT therapy, and I called and said, hey, I'm just not going to make it. I'm not feeling well. I didn't say wasn't feeling, it wasn't I took a mental not feeling well day versus hey, I've got a stomach bug or something. And I muddled through that day, and then Wednesday came, and I had another therapy appointment. I went to that and was talking with my therapist about, Nora being out of town, how I was feeling, and I mentioned the Imodium thing, and holy cow, like her eyes just went huge, and whoa, like, hey, red flag. And it was at that point that I realized that, hey, maybe me doing that was a significant thing. Maybe I need to validate that experience more. And we spent a good 20 minutes after that talking about the importance of my safety and having a plan. And, basically she was kind of penning me in to a point where she made me seem strong, but she wasn't going to take any other answer than me committing to safety for the next week. And I get why she had to do that, and I get why she needed me to say the words. And while genuinely I was not at a point where I had a plan to kill myself, I didn't feel like I could honestly give her that. Say, yeah, I absolutely 100%, I promise you that I will be safe until our next meeting. I gave it to her. I said it. I couldn't mean it 100%. I don't feel like I've got control over, my depression. It's more and more clear to me that I really don't. I mean, I can commit to trying to be safe. I can commit to doing my best to stay safe. But to honestly, earnestly say, yeah, hey, I commit to being safe, I don't feel good about saying that. So, but Wednesday night, Nora came back to me. I went to the airport, picked her up. Woohoo! Yay! 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 We had a good evening. Talked about different things. How was her trip? Of course, I didn't go into the deep, dark details of my few days. Just a little bit. I mean, she knew that I was feeling down and having a rough time. She understands that when she goes away. She sees that I'm less communicative via text message, or we're not really phone talkers, either one of us. Every now and then I just love to hear her voice, so I'll try to get her on the phone. But so she knew that I was struggling, but she also knew that that's part of my journey and things that I'm working on. So yeah, so for that night, the structure was back, right? We had some dinner, we watched some TV, we brushed our teeth, we got ready for bed, we cuddled a little bit, and it was nice. So then Thursday came, and it was my turn to go out of town. I had plans to head back towards Michigan to see my girls, to see my folks, to see my friends. My friend Dave was having a birthday, and I wanted to get back to see him. I was able to coordinate with Scott to come on up and join us. So we good time. We had lunch. We went to a one of these escape rooms. I don't know if you've heard of them. It's basically you go in a room and it's you're locked in, or you've got to save the world, or you've got to do this or do that, and in order to solve the mystery, you've got to solve puzzles along the way. And it was a good time. It was an hour of puzzle solving and interacting, and almost triumph. We nearly made it out before time expired, I suppose. It was good. So, but before that, so that Friday, I made it into Michigan. It's a 2-day trip. I'm not as young as I used to be. So, I got there, I got to see my girls. We went out, did some spring, summer clothing shopping. Their mom asked if I could take them out and get them a couple outfits and maybe some sandals. So we went and did that. We went down, saw my folks, spent the night there, got up in the morning, had breakfast with my folks. It's good. I always try to get, I'd like to get all my girls down to see their grandparents when I'm in town. But it's not always possible with the older two, and I get that. So we had breakfast, and then my two little ones and I, we went to this rope zip line adventure park thing, which was really neat. It's something I'd done before, back when I was working. We did a team building thing, and it's like a rope obstacle course. So you're elevated, and you've got to go wiggle your way across this line, or go across this net, or walk the wooden plank 20 feet up in the air, and you get to the end and you get to go down a little zip line, and it's a good time. Check them out. They're really cool. It is different from, say, a zip line park where you would necessarily just kind of go up a ladder and go down a zip line. This is an obstacle course with the cookie at the end, I suppose, being a short little zip line. Good time with my girls. They did great. One of them had a little more trouble than the other, but they kept going, and it was a really good time. Brought them back home. Took my second oldest out. We went to go see a movie together. Had a good time. Had a nice little talk on the way home, working on her driving, and that was a good time. So, and then that Sunday, so that's when I went and saw Dave and Scott. We did the escape room, and then it was time to come home. So during that, geez, I totally forgot the biggest, not the biggest part, but maybe one of the neater parts of the weekend. So Thursday, I'm driving out, right? I'm here in Minnesota, going to Michigan. So picture it in your head, driving west to east. I got to go through Wisconsin. And my friend Julio, who I've mentioned before, who has started up the originally Break the Stigma running project, now the Defeat the Stigma, they were doing their run across Wisconsin that whole week. They were using this app. It's an iOS only app. I think it's called Track. Basically, they would put a link out in the morning on Twitter and on Facebook and say, hey, click here, and you can follow us on our run. And you click it. If you have the app, obviously it opens. If you're cool like me and have an Android, then you go to a website and you see it. A map comes up. Think of a Google map, and like a little blue line. And every now and then it kind of jumps over west just a little bit. And that's where they are at that moment on their run. It's really cool. So I was driving across Wisconsin, and I thought, hey, I wonder where they are in relation to me. And I popped it up, and it was, maybe a half hour out of my way to go see them. So I went, set it up, look, turn here, turn there. Okay, off the highway, go this way, go that way. And oh my gosh, I'm getting closer to the head of the line. I'm getting. And sure enough, up ahead, I see them running. So, I zipped ahead of them to the end. It's all country kind of highway things. So I zipped ahead, got to the next intersection, I guess it would be. Hopped out of the car and started running back down the road towards them. Met up with them and, ran, I don't know, 200 yards, maybe, probably less than that. Asked me in a year, and I ran half a mile with them, and, talked with the folks who were doing the running at that time, and they said, yeah. And, Julio's up ahead. And I was like, oh, this is great. Let me go find him. And so we got back to my car, and they said, okay, we're going this way and that way. I said, okay, so if I go turn right here, turn left there, and go ahead, I'll see him. Yep, great. And I did. I caught up to him and got to talk to Julio for a little bit. Got a picture taken with the guys and lady. And it was really nice. It was probably 45 minutes in all of interaction. But it was nice. It was great to support them. I poured some water for the runners. Talked with Julio for a bit and asked him about, hey, what are your plans for next year? And this and that and this and that. And I committed to him. I said, hey, if you guys are doing it next year, like say Illinois, obviously they're not gonna run across Texas just yet. But if you do it next year, I want to be part of it. I want to do some running. So, there it is. I committed to running. I don't know if I'll do the whole thing. That seems like a lot of running, but maybe I can run a day with them. And yeah, I felt really good after that. And I remember leaving them and getting back on my path towards Michigan and feeling, not, I guess, fulfilled, maybe, I don't know, feeling like, hey, there's a goal to shoot for. And it was an unusual but a nice feeling. And so thanks to Julio and the Defeat the Stigma guys and gals. It was great catching up with you guys. I appreciate the picture. And they said, Julio said he's listened to a couple of my shows and he liked them, which means a lot to me. So yeah, that was real fun. That was my first taste of a brush rubbing elbows with the famous, let's say. So yeah, but head over to Defeat the Stigma and support them, see what they're all about, see what they got going on. Give them follows on Twitter and Facebook, and just help them do their thing and kind of getting the word out there and opening up discussions about mental illness. But so I came home. It's a long drive. It's 12 hours without stopping at all, to pee or stretch your legs or whatever. So it seemed like every mile I was in the car, I just kind of felt my mood getting lower and lower. And so it was a good weekend, but the weekend wasn't even over, and I was back to my normal, I suppose. And I got home, and it's nice to be home, to see Nora, to see the kids, be in a comfy place, sleep in our bed, which is insanely comfy. It's not Casper friendly comfy, if those of you who listen to other podcasts, but it's crazy comfy. All the things that come with being at home, your shower head, your towels, your pillow, all that kind of stuff. But I've been, that was a week ago now, I guess. And it's been another long week. I've been so very, very flat since I got home. I haven't really had the suicidal thoughts, although, for the DBT, we fill out this daily diary and talk about, our level of this, our level of that. And one of them is suicidal ideations, 1 to 10. And, my baseline basically is a 6 or 7. So when I say I'm not really having suicidal thoughts elevated, that really that still keeps me at like a 6 or a 7. But no Imodium stories to talk about there. But just really, really like emotionless, and like no highs, no lows. In fact, on the way home, I was, just a half hour from home, right on the highway, and it was kind of early in the morning, so near rush hour. So, we're going, whatever, 60 miles an hour, and, it's tight traffic. And like 3 cars ahead of me, someone wasn't paying attention to traffic, so they, oh my gosh, people stopped in front of them, so they had to hit the brakes, which means 2 cars in front of me hits the brakes, car in front of me hits the brake. I hit the brakes. People are pulling off left, right, tires are locking up. I have anti-lock brakes, but my tires were skidding a little bit. No accident. Nobody got hurt, nothing like that. But I realized, a minute or so after that, we all got back going, to our 45, 50 mile an hour speeds, that I had no reaction to that experience. Things like that happen. You feel that kind of adrenaline response and your heart's beating and you're more alert. I didn't feel that. I wasn't angry about it. I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't, nothing, it was just, okay, let's go. I don't know what that means. I'm sure it means something. I don't know. And, so it's something I have an appointment this week with my psychiatrist, and I guess I needed to talk to him about. Maybe it's time to talk about medication again. I don't know. I know a lot of times medication can be medication that makes you flat, but that kind of non-response to what should have been a stressful situation kind of bothers me. 15 years ago I would have thought, oh yeah, I'm badass, right? Nothing gets to me. But no, I probably should have, had a little sweat on the brow after that. So yeah, I guess we'll see what that's all about. I think I'm kind of rambling now. Just to sum up, or I guess to finish up the story here. So here we are. Yesterday, Nora unfortunately had to go out of town again. So I guess we'll see what the next few days bring. I planned ahead a little bit this time and had asked Nora what she thought about the kids staying with their dad exclusively during these few days, because I did recognize last week that I was really, low and down, and maybe I didn't have as much patience for the kids as I should have. And while on one hand, it's probably would be better for me if they were here and I had, that would force me to have some structure. On the other hand, I don't know that I'd be, I don't know that that's, they would have a better time, a more productive time with their dad. So yeah, so I've got a few days here on my own. Got up this morning, went and got soda, and it's a 3 cinnamon roll day, which, is, I for a while there, I was rating my days on how many cinnamon rolls I would eat. The more cinnamon rolls, the lower my mood would relatively be. So far, it's, 10:38 a.m., and it's a 3 cinnamon roll day so far. Like I said, I want to try to be, I'm trying to distract myself this time while Nora's away. So I sat down, looked in my email box, and you started replying to some emails, some kind of chore-like, others kind of communication with some folks that I've met, or I guess started communicating with since I've started the show. And one guy who I've communicated with but haven't heard for a while, Johnny, I was replying to him, and I started telling him this story, kind of, hey, why you haven't heard from me in a bit. And then I realized, hey, maybe I could just babble this all into a microphone and get it out there. So that's how this show came about. And so Johnny, I hope you got the email. I hope you're doing well. A few other folks, Tim, I hope you're doing well. And Julio, all you guys. Yeah, drop me a line. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know, again, let me know what you think of what's going on here on my end. So yeah, there it is. At 40 minutes recorded, which means this will be about a 35-minute show. That's probably long enough for you guys. I appreciate those of you who made it all the way through listening to me. So yeah, let me just wrap it up there. Remind you guys, I am Jamolki all over the internets, Facebook, Twitter, email, website. That's JAMOALKI. .info for the website, Gmail for the email, and reach out. Let me know. Let's have a conversation. Thanks, everybody. Be well. So,